You're going to leave
Yes.
when the pain level is at a 10. You're going to return, the pain level is going to be at a 20. Let me tell you why. Because
I'm going to be going long enough.
Because you left her in her pain to fend for herself, which is exactly what happened to you as a little boy.
Right.
And but look what it created in you.
Right.
Who abandoned you when you were young?
Everyone.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Stefania. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and welcome to the family. If you are a returning viewer of mine, then you know this is part 2 of our 3-part series of Becoming Fearless. And today's video is all about how to overcome the fear of love. Now, this is such a touchy subject because this is, as everything else that I bring on this channel, this is something that I can relate with tremendously in terms of romantic relationships. And I actually have a video that I'm going to be reacting to a scenario, someone I believe demonstrates a fear of love and a fear of commitment as well as intimacy, and that is Nick Cannon. And I'm going to be reacting to one of the videos that he did with Dr. Cheyenne Bryant when they were talking about his relationships with the different mothers of his children and different things that happened in his childhood. And it's going to fit into today's topic on how to overcome that fear of love and the fear of commitment. So I'm not going to do much talking in the beginning of this video, so I'm going to go ahead and play the part that I'm going to be reacting to, and then we're going to proceed from there.
And even in those scenarios, if someone is enraged, if someone is feeling pain, they don't want to be like the thing that I always say with women, never tell a woman to calm down. Never tell a woman to relax. You gotta let it happen. And the way, I'm not gonna tell you to calm down, I'm not gonna tell you to relax, I'm gonna leave and I'll be back when we can actually have.
You're gonna leave when the pain level is at a 10. You're gonna return, the pain level is gonna be at a 20. Let me tell you why. Because
I'm gonna be going long enough.
Because you left her in her pain to fend for herself, which is exactly what happened to you as a little boy.
Right.
And but look what it created in you. Not saying that you're not a wonderful man.
I'm not leaving forever. I'll be back when you calmed. I mean, because I don't want to say it.
Right. You can say calm down to me. I'm emotionally intelligent. I can take it.
When things are a little bit more chill, because otherwise, like you said, it's going to be stuff all over the house.
And be honest about this answer.
Always.
How, when you've left, obviously you've done this, is your norm, you've done this all your life. When you've left for long enough to come back, how many times have you and that particular individual had the same damn argument over and over again? That wasn't the last time y'all had that.
I don't know if this is a trick or this is manipulation, but if you stay gone long enough, they get worried about you. and then they're happy to see you when daddy's home.
Right.
That is absolutely manipulation. So let's just address what he's saying. When it comes to the fear of love and intimacy, one thing that Nick Cannon displays is that fear of conflict, that resolving conflict, and instead of resolving it in the moment, he chooses to flee. I think that's actually a sign of fearful avoidant or dismissive avoidant. If you guys look into the attachment styles, the different attachment styles, Nick Cannon would fall under the category of either the fearful or dismissive. And these people fear intimacy. And things like conflict drives them away, pushes them away. And in any relationship that you're going to be in, there's going to be conflict. There's going to be a moment of time where you're bumping heads, where you're not agreeing. And when you're someone who has that underlying fear, the natural response is to flee, is to leave, is to get away from what's going on in that moment. So that's just one sign I wanted to point out, and we're gonna continue watching this.
Okay, but that's also
But all you gotta have is a pizza,
but that's
some donuts in your
momentarily.
hand,
That's in
and
the
they're
that's in
happy.
the moment though, baby. Later on in that relationship,
Then
y'all
we can
have,
talk,
but y'all
because-
have revisited that
Yeah,
same
because we
issue.
can talk,
But y'all
because-
have revisited that
Yeah,
same
because
issue
we have to
because
resolve.
there's no resolve.
But there's no one's enraged in
but
that
let me
moment
tell you
because
why.
time heals most
Let me
wounds.
tell you why. Because feelings cause issues. Feelings cause issues.
Yes,
Feelings cause issues,
absolutely.
not emotions.
Okay.
Two different things.
Break that down.
So, you know the culture term, you and your feelings.
Yeah. and-
That's the problem.
yeah.
But when I'm sitting in my emotions,
That's
I'm
not a-
feeling
Right.
so that I can deal
Absolutely.
and so that I can heal.
Yeah.
And so-
Emotions are more than just feelings.
Right. And so if I am emotionally intelligent, which is mental health,
Yes.
and you and I or we or whoever you're with are taking the initiatives to become better within their mental, because mental health is subjective. We talked about this. Mental health is not just a diagnosis in the DSM. Mental health is very subjective. Mental health is if something is causing you impairment, then that is a mental health issue. It doesn't have to be a diagnosis. It doesn't have to be depression. If it's causing an impairment and your mental health is skewed, you have a mental health issue at that moment.
Because we've been throwing that mental health word around very easily nowadays, but to that point to where you just defined it, you
Yeah.
know, because sometimes it feels like a label and it discredits people, and then sometimes it feels like an excuse. But to what you're saying is like if it causes an impairment. then
Right.
that's mental.
Now I want to go back to this little argument. If you got two abandoned people
Yes.
in this situation,
Yeah.
and one flees, which is abandonment. Now I'm abandoned because you fleed me.
Right.
So you're causing more impairment.
But I'll be back.
But it doesn't matter. You're causing more impairment.
Right.
Who abandoned you when you were young?
Everyone.
Okay, are they back? Have they came back?
Yeah.
Oh, but you still reap the repercussions of their abandonment, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't make it okay. You're still having to deal with that, even though they returned and they came back.
Yeah.
It doesn't make them coming back atone for what the impact or the impairment they caused or you engulfed in because of that experience. So when you leave,
But it made me stronger.
in what ways?
It made me be able to deal with
With what?
abandonment,
No,
with
you're
detachment.
still not dealing with abandonment.
No, because now I've learned to be like, okay.
And deal with what?
I'm
Because
not-
if you're fleeing, you're not dealing with your emotion.
No.
He learned coping mechanisms. He learned just to like sweep it under the rug and deal with it, but never really address that abandonment. So when faced with conflict, that same wound of abandonment causes him to flee or causes him to run from what's going on in the situation. And this is many of our testimony in relationships. What you don't deal or heal from, later on repeat patterns from that same wound. And that's the same thing that happened with Mr. Canyon here. Let's just continue.
You need, and we'll handle it when we handle it. And it's not in my hands. I give it to the higher
But
power. I
every-
give it to the
right.
Lord, and He gonna figure it out.
Every relationship's a direct reflection of who we are.
Absolutely.
We see in others who we are, not who they are.
Yeah.
Okay, so like with you, only because I'm in a place of not perfect at all, of meaning healing. I've done this healing work. It's been years. I maintain it. I do it every day.
Right.
It's literally a lifestyle. Otherwise, I can go back to my dysfunctional norms and nobody's safe there. Okay, not even me, not even here.
I hear you.
So I say that to say, when I'm looking at you, right? We see in others who we are, not who they are. I see a man who is extremely broken, who has taken his brokenness and made the best of it, who has made many decisions that he feels that was great and contributed to a greatness of a big moving part of his life, but also contributed to some demise of a big part of his life, who is now trying to figure out, how do I take these moving parts and make them a collective whole? Because I'm feeling a lot of brokenness and division and a lot of stuff that's going on. However, I see a man who at the core is a great man, has great character, wants to be better, wants to have better character, wants to show up for people better, wants to be the best father he could be, trying to figure out how he can do that, still figuring out a sense of self, stands on his square, stands on business, sometimes too much to where standing on that business can mess some things up. So what I'm saying is all those things I said I see in you are just the things that are really in me, because I can't see past myself. Okay.
Right.
And so when you're in a relationship and you're in this hostile argument or a calm argument and you decide to get up and walk out, you're not fleeing from what you keep saying is the argument or her anger. You're fleeing from the reflection of yourself. So when we think that we're fleeing from this conversation of what you're saying to me, I'm fleeing from the very best thing that I need, which is reflecting to me how I see you showing up with me, because you're just a mirror. And so if I can sit in that emotion with you, you have to have that awareness, right? Of saying, hold on, Nick, look, like it's a lot of stuff going on in you right now that just don't sit right with me, because it's a direct reflection of who I am.
You ain't have to read me like that. But
and let me go further, because we're talking about black men. So we're talking about fleeing.
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking about fleeing. We can blame it on abandonment issues. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But if you want to talk about accountability, black men, when they're fleeing anything, fleeing from being a father, fleeing from being a husband, fleeing from the argument, fleeing from accountability, they're just fleeing from themselves. And that's why there's no personal self-growth, because words don't teach, experience does. And so if I can't sit in this experience with you, then what the hell am I learning from this experience? If every time I flee, I go back to my dysfunctional norm, where is the growth within myself? At this point, it becomes not even about you.
Right.
It becomes about Dr. Bryant trying to be better for me, trying to be better for my husband who is to come, for my kids when I do happen to have children, because I'm not married or have kids yet.
Right.
But I always make sure any man I'm dating, any engagement I'm in, I'm here to make sure I can sit in this, I can atone in this, and I can get the experience that I want to take and create a new norm with. Because dysfunction didn't work for me, and it ain't working for you.
So what I would say to that, because I agree with everything that you said, the only addendum or additive that I would put in, I feel like the fleeing, whether it's in general, like you talk about what black men do, or specifically if it's you and I in a heated scenario, I'm fleeing from the lack of control.
Okay.
Because when there is no control, there's chaos. And in that setting, if you on high, I'm on high, and I know that it can only bubble over because neither one of us have control of the moment or of our emotions, it's only going to get worse. So, and even in that, with using that same, analogy of how black men just flee from everything.
Let me say,
we're fleeing from the thing because we don't have control of the system.
Everyone has the capacity to flee, but because our topic is mostly black men and mental health, I want to make it clear. Black women flee too, but we're talking about black men and mental health.
We're personalizing it with me because I know that is who I am. And it's because I only run when I'm like, you know what, I don't have control over this situation. And as someone who likes control, I'll be back when I have control.
But okay, I love that. This is so good. What is control?
A song Janet Jackson put out in the 80s.
Right, exactly. You see?
Control.
See? Don't deflect. Bring it back here. Don't deflect. You see, he just fleed. That's it, fleeing. Bring it back. Bring it back. You ain't fleeing. At the root of control, what is control? For one, it's an illusion. What is at the root of control?
Ego.
Okay, then that's fine. What is ego? What is ego? The root of ego is what?
It's protecting my vulnerabilities.
It's an insecure little boy. That's what the root of control is, because it's an illusion. Okay? Because when we control anything.
It's not illusion when you yelling, I'm yelling.
No, we're talking about the control piece.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Neither one of us have control because our emotions are on high.
But you have two people who are at the peak of a mental health freaking breakdown. A mental health issue.
No control.
So again, the way that you gain control is by two things. You use two tools. You cannot shift or change anything about you unless you shift or change your experience. So as long as you keep fleeing,
that's why I'm shifting my ass out the door.
But that's what you've been doing. But that allows you to stay in abandonment. That allows you to
I'm comfortable with my abandonment.
Because you are in your dysfunctional norm that you've become comfortable with.
But it's worked. It's become a superpower.
But you've learned to survive in it. You're not thriving in that. That's not thriving. You're surviving in that.
Okay.
And so anytime you are surviving and not thriving, there is no cape. There is no superpower. There's no superpower in a lack of mental health. And there's no superpower.
But it's worked for me. Like you said, you
know why it worked
read
for you?
me well.
You know why it worked for you?
Why?
You know why it worked for you? I'm gonna go there, and it's probably gonna be okay.
Go ahead. This
and this is with
we got 2 minutes left in our first session.
With all due respect, seriously, to all the women that you've encountered, ladies, I'm saying this: the reason why it's worked for you is because you have chosen and to prey on low-functioning women who don't have the emotional intelligence. No, I'm going there. Who will allow you to do that, Nick? And when I say allow, it's not a control thing. When I say allow, I'm not saying that she sits across you and says, this is what you won't do, you're crossing a boundary. Nick.
I disagree.
Yes.
This is why I disagree. I mean, one, because
why you gonna make sure, but you gotta go in protection mode too.
No, but I'm saying because you could say from all the high value women that I've ever
I didn't say high value.
But okay, I'm giving compliments. But I'm just saying
I'm like, wait a minute.
For the people who are even of them being, because first of all,
low-functioning women will allow you to function low with them. Nick, you could not function that low.
So this is, Nick, everyone's low-functioning at some point in their life.
You could not function low with a woman of my functioning, not because I'm superior. Not because I'm superior. Listen to me say this really quick. Not because I'm superior to any other woman, but because I do have leverage. I've been in my field for 17 years, so we get that. But I've done the work, meaning you won't have an opportunity to get hostile with me, and you may want to flee, but fleeing would not get you a payoff with me. Wait a minute.
I'm not the hostile individual.
Okay, so we're gonna pause right here. I drew this specific example because this is the state of a lot of men and also some women, because I can resonate and understand a lot of where Nick is coming from. Now, I've had to do a lot of inner work to become aware of patterns that were in my life. But this is a lot of men's testimony in terms of being afraid of, if you want to really get down to the root of it, underlining is the fear of commitment, the fear of going all in with someone. One of the things that he mentions is wanting to be in control, this illusion of control, which is a really major thing when it comes to fear. The concept of love, if we really want to look at love and what love is. We know that love is patient, love is kind, love is long-suffering, and God is love because he ultimately demonstrates his love for us. To really experience love in its entirety, there is risk involved. There is risk involved in love because it is not guaranteed that the person that you love will love you back. And so, speaking from experience with having that fear of love and being closely intimate and being vulnerable and all of these things, I can say that that is what most people fear, is that risk of, I can give my heart to this person and they can just walk out the door one day. I can give my heart to this person and they can hurt me in ways that I've never been hurt before. But love is worth the risk. And this is coming from someone who has been hurt multiple times. But I realized that it wasn't love that hurt me. This is key to understanding this. It isn't love that hurts. It's the situations and people that we give that love to that's not able to reciprocate it to us that hurts us, but not love within itself. And so in our minds, we look at it as, I'm in control, I'm controlling the situation, I don't want to be hurt, I'm protecting myself from this perceived hurt. And if we go back to the acronym FEAR, false evidence appearing real, well, the evidence that's replaying in your mind may be from a different situation, from when you was a child and you got abandoned by your mother or your father, that's making this fear of love even more real, although it hasn't happened yet. The first tip I'm going to give here in terms of how to overcome that fear of love is to become aware, not just become aware, but heal your childhood trauma. Sometimes love has a way of exposing our trauma to ourselves. And once we become aware of our childhood stuff, the wrong thing to do is what Nick Cannon said in this video, is to have coping mechanisms that don't really deal with the root cause, but they just put a band-aid over it. It doesn't really treat the wound, but it just suppresses it. So my encouragement to you would be to address the wound. Allow God into those places in your heart that experience some form of disappointment or some form of abandonment from childhood. Really go down deep into that place. When you actually do the work and go down into those places where you've experienced that level of trauma, two things would happen. You'll realize what's actually on the other side of love can actually be the greatest experience of your life. And two, I believe that we'll be able to love in a way that even if the person doesn't love you back, it won't damage you so much so that you're unable to love again. It's funny how life works, because I've had moments in my life where I was a little bit more afraid of falling in love and being in love and really opening myself up to someone, investing my emotions and going underneath that fear. What's really interesting about life is the moment you decide to do that, sometimes you're faced with the very reality that you feared this whole time. You're faced with the reality of it not working out or this person leaving. So that brings into my point of you're really not in control. You're really not in control. So releasing that illusion that I can control the love that I give to this person, I can control it, it's not actually realistic. Because you can't control what the other person is going to do with that love. They may not reciprocate it. They may not accept it. But you have to be healed enough and strong enough to still be able to move on and love again. Do it all over again as if that never happened. But it's hard to do that if you don't take the time to heal. Not get coping mechanisms that help you temporarily, but truly heal. And understand that there's always risk in love. When it comes to love and in relationships with another human being, there's always risk involved. But what I've come to realize and understand is love is worth the risk. And if you don't remember anything else from this video, remember that love is worth the risk. And that's a realization that I've had to come to after experiencing heartbreak. Those moments when you truly get to experience the real, authentic love. It's worth any amount of pain that may happen afterwards. It's worth it. But most of us won't allow ourselves to go there because of that fear. So my challenge, if you watched the first video, then you know what this is gonna be. My challenge for you in overcoming your fear of love or fear of commitment is to expose yourself to the very thing that you fear. That could look like letting someone into those vulnerable places and making sure you vet the person, ask the right questions, and take a calculated risk, because it's a risk altogether. But actually letting someone in. And if it does go bad, you can get to say that you actually allowed yourself to love and be loved, because it's the most powerful thing on this earth is love. Because of the way our brains work, instead of protecting us from something that is actually dangerous, when it comes to love, your brain can actually be holding you back from something that is worth experiencing, even if you had to experience it multiple times. So maybe you're someone watching this and you have a fear of commitment, a fear of love. Maybe there's this abandonment that you've dealt with as a child, or you just never allowed yourself to go there with anyone. My challenge is to really challenge yourself. See what's on the other side. It may be worth the risk. It may be worth the risk. So that is the end of part 2 of this 3-part series in Becoming Fearless. One of the areas that I know that most people I have struggled with in the past is that fear of love, that fear of intimacy. But if you allow yourself to go there, it may be one of the best experiences of your life. It's an intangible force that is so powerful. So powerful that you deserve to experience. You deserve to experience love. You deserve to love and be loved. And so that is the end of this video. If you made it to the end of this video, I want you to comment down below, what did you get from this video and how you plan to become fearless in love. Until next time, I love all of you guys. Bye.